110th anniversary of the Battle of Mons, with the completion of these figures, as in every part is glued on in some form or another. I've been babbling on about these machine gun operators at Mons. I should probably be a bit more clear. So we'll have a look at stuff. I've got loads of books, and I have worked with museums in Belgium and France. Blah blah blah, I've said that many times. But I quite like these. These are not highbrow. Might be why I like them. But they're very much the work of a man, I've forgotten his name, John Giles. Very much the work of a man who didn't just sort of go and research and interview. He spent so much of his time with the people who were in the First World War and were in, the world afterwards, and who were pulling stuff out of their fields and so on. He spent an awful lot of time. He virtually lived over in France and Belgium. So this comes from the heart as much as anything, and one of the things he does is he explains clearly, for a start, very important, but also he includes an awful lot of first-hand accounts, and he includes an awful lot of first-hand material. He gets great photographs, as you can see, and here we have a good quality old map which shows, in this case, Mons. There's Mons, and this is the bridge that was defended at Nîmes. And that little black dot is virtually where the machine guns were placed to cover the bridge over the canal to hold the Germans off. And this is a somewhat ancient photo, not too old actually, of the canal at Mons as it curves up and round to form what's known as the salient, and there it goes around there. And so this was a bit of a vulnerable spot for the British troops. It is one of those interesting things that they came under severe pressure, but these machine guns really held the Germans back. It began with dawn artillery bombardment. At 9 AM the first Germans assaulted this loop, and 4 German battalions attacked Nîmes Bridge against the 4th Battalion of Royal Fusiliers, and their machine gun section was placed on the mouth of the bridge. The Germans advanced in blocks and columns, and what's interesting is they're described as parade ground formations, and the English said that they were so easy to hit. There's one quote in particular where one fella says, every bullet found 2 billets, which is a hot, chilling thing, and the English could shoot fast and accurately, probably the best in the world at the time, to the point where the Germans thought they were under machine gun fire from all along the canal line. And the British specialised in this kind of rapid fire, whereas it said the Germans advanced shooting from the hip, which is quite a thing. So it made easy targets for them, but the Germans quickly gave that up and went into open formation. The Germans knocked out the machine gun crews. There's usually 6 men to a machine gun, and there was at least 2 machine guns there. There's probably more. And gradually the crews were knocked out. This is a photograph of the original bridge, and it was there was this fella. This is a painting, I believe, or a touched-up photograph of Lieutenant Maurice Dees, who was officer in charge of the machine guns, who dashed about making sure everything was okay whenever there was a problem, gradually seeing his men going down. He was the last one, and he spent some time firing the last machine gun, having been hit 5 times, and eventually his third wound is the one that brought about his demise, unfortunately. He was 24 years old and was given a posthumous VC, not surprisingly, at which point this bold young fella steps up, Private Sidney Godley. Can't find a decent photograph of him, not one that shows up very well, so I had to go on the internet. And he steps forward and says, I can operate the machine gun, and does so. He's only a couple of months older than Maurice Dees, but he spends 2 hours firing the machine gun, keeping the Germans at bay. By this time it's apparent that the French had fallen back, leaving the British isolated, and the British had to pull back too. So he spent his time blocking the bridge so that his colleagues and comrades could get out of there in an orderly and sort of safe withdrawal, as safe as it can be. So 2 hours under what was officially later referred to as under hot fire, which is just something incredible. He got a shrapnel wound in the back and a bullet wound to his head, and eventually he ran out of ammunition, disabled the machine gun, threw some parts in the river, and was then taken into a house to recover from his wound, or to help him with his wounds, at which point the Germans flooded through and took him captive. He also received a VC. These fellas, these 2 men in particular, a whole lot of them, are stunningly bold people. And it's rather nice to have a little model of something which in some way represents that. It's daft really to say that, but it's good that somebody thought it worth the bother. Some accounts say the 2 men worked together, others say they worked one after the other. But regardless of that, we've got 2 fellas operating a typical machine gun of the period. We've got the machine belt, the belt with the bullets. God, only just started. Anyway, that's going on. I wanted it to look a bit lively because they can kick up slightly, but it's coming out of the little ammo box a bit too sharply. I might fiddle with that. That fella's hand's still not great, is it? And then I've painted the chin strap, which is flipped over the peak, but it's so thin I can't see it. Might have to go back over that. But there they are. Oh, we haven't got the water canister and pipe because we don't get a pipe. So let me get the canister. So that's it. That's what you get without a pipe. Very weird. Easy enough to do, I suppose. I will have to come up with something. But we will say we are done because that is what you get in the box. But fear not, there will be yet another episode, therefore, in which we put the pipe on, and I think they need a little base or something, don't they, to bring them a bit, give them a bit more meaning. So I think that's what we'll do. But here we are with our figures. Just dropped a little background in because it was looking a bit bleak, wasn't it? So anyway, this is what you get, and it's very good. It's very, very likeable, apart from that hand. It went together pretty well. There are his shoulders gappy. I was going to fill it, and I thought, no, I need to show you. And his other shoulder's a bit gappy, to be quite honest. But you get that with figures. Also, I haven't taken any kind of seam lines out from the moulds, because where it does exist, which is almost nowhere, first of all, it's hardly worth it, but secondly, if you do see it, then good, you'll get an idea of what you do get. So these fellas are good, and it is a nice little kind of vignette. Oops, and I appreciate the, oh goodness me, I appreciate the work done by the company to sort of say, yeah, this is a thing worth doing. Oh, terrible, terrible camera work. But anyway, there they are, wonky hand and all. It's nice. Need a pipe, need a better hand. Other than that, I can't find fault. I'm floundering, aren't I? It's good. Do it, get one. So yeah, we'll finish off here. Thank you for watching. There will be more on this one eventually, and see you soon with something else completely different, I'm sure. Anyway, let's start the First World War off here with these guys. So remember the fellas at Mons. Yeah, that hand, it's got to go, hasn't it?